Let's welcome Chuck into the program, and I want to start going back to last year. I remember walking by you and Z's setup following the win over Texas Tech in Hinkle Fieldhouse. You guys are kind of at the corner of the arena where a lot of Arkansas fans pass you, and I just remember seeing the smile on your face as I walked by. You and Z kind of looked at me and smiled back. What has this last 2 years been like for you after so many what appeared to be stagnant years for Razorback basketball?
Well, it's always a lot more fun when the team's good, that's for sure. Last year, we were right in the middle of the fans. I remember that game, and, it was kind of like a mosh pit after the game, and it was fun. I enjoyed it. Frankly, it's a better view up there than it is down on the floor sometimes. But last year was fun in that respect, and I am old enough to remember how it was in the mid-'90s and how it was when basketball came of age in the 80s under Eddie Sutton. And our basketball fan base is a rabid fan base, and they've just been waiting for this. And now it's here, and I promise you can go from any spot in our state, corner to corner this morning, right now, any building you walk into, they're talking about Razorback basketball. And so it's unified our state, it's brought our fan base together again, and, that's what it's supposed to do.
When you look at this matchup tonight, I look at an area where Arkansas has already knocked off the number one team in college basketball in Bud Walton Arena. Chuck, do you think the idea of getting a chance to not just beat one but two number one teams plays into this team's mentality tonight at 6:09 Central?
Oh, I think it might be talked about. I think the focus, though, is on the here and now, no matter what anybody's ranked. When you're to this point in the season, we're all excited about the ball game, and somebody's season's going to end tonight. For somebody, it's going to be over tonight. All this excitement's going to end for either us or Gonzaga tonight, and that's what happens when you get to this point in the season. When you win, the excitement's off the charts, and when you lose, the disappointment's as bitter as it gets. But everybody's having fun right now, and I think this is where our fan base expects the Razorbacks to be in terms of national standing. National opinion, national standing is important to our people, for better or worse. And so, right now I think people feel like that our program's right where they want it.
Chuck, you've had the privilege of working with a lot of different coaches, been around a long time, and got to be up close and see the preparation and kind of see how the sausage is made behind the scenes with a lot of these guys. I've heard some refer to Eric Musselman as the basketball version of Bobby Petrino. Intense, a great technician and mechanic of the game, can make the in-game adjustments. When someone says that, do you see those comparisons? You got to see both coaches and the way they operated up close. Do you see some similarities? I know it's two different sports, but coaching's coaching.
Well, I think their preparation's similar. I think all good coaches prepare. They may talk about, how they're not worried about the other guys, but they are. And a good coach knows what the other team's going to do, or at least has a pretty good idea about what they're going to do. And they both were real studiers, in terms of their preparation. And they both knew the opponent inside out and knew how to find the weak spots. I think all great coaches do that. And they do have that similarity, both really intense, particularly in the game. They were a little different personality-wise once it was over, but in terms of how they prepared, there were some similarities there. Yes, no doubt about it.
We've been reflecting back to last year's tournament, the way it ended against Baylor, and I've been pounding on the pulpit here this last few days about it, the first 10 minutes being so key in this one and not falling behind. They fell in that trap with Baylor. Is it J.D. Notae staying out of foul trouble? Is it just having some success with the shots going in? What's the key tonight for the first 10 minutes of the ball game? And in your opinion, how much does that weigh in the balance to the final outcome after the way you saw the season end a year ago and where you're headed these next couple of ball games, hopefully?
Well, I think it'll be important. I thought last year against Baylor just established their physicality just right off the bat. That Mark Vidal guy, I mean, he was he was a bruiser in there. We had no answer. They were men inside, and they looked like a team that was going to win the national championship. I never for a moment thought Gonzaga would beat them last year because I just didn't think they could match their physicality. I don't know how physical Gonzaga is going to be. We don't see them every game. We see the best, generally speaking, we see the best that they have to offer when we watch the highlights. You really got to, have a stake in it to go back and watch a lot of their games and try to break it down. I don't know how many fans have done that, frankly. So I do think there's some mystery there. They're obviously a gifted team. I think the general consensus has been on Gonzaga that they're kind of a finesse team. We're going to find out tonight if that's true or not. I suspect they're a little more physical maybe than what we've been led to believe, and I think that's going to be really important in the first 10 minutes. To get back to your question, I think you've got to match or set the tone physically. When they played Baylor last year, I don't think they matched their physics. I don't think they could. I don't think they had the physical capabilities to match them inside. Gonzaga, I don't think is going to be quite like that. But, man, they can score. They can get out on the floor. And if you're not at your top defensively, they can run you out of the place. They've got that kind of ability offensively.
Chuck Barrett with us here live from San Francisco here on the Morning Rush. Chuck, by the way, appreciate you getting up at 6 a.m. to do this with us because I know it's been a little different for me waking up at 2:30 here on the West Coast.
Yeah, you're young, man. My body clock, I'm an old guy. This is no big deal for me.
Yeah,
but for you young guys that run late, I know it's a little bit different.
It's changed a little bit. Chuck, I want to ask you about Chet Holmgren because I think he's the key in this game tonight. If he has a big game, I don't know how Arkansas wins. I think Drew Timmy's probably going to get his. I think Adis is going to neutralize Andrew Nembhard the best they can. But for a 7-1 unicorn that Arkansas faces tonight, you're probably going to see Trey Wade. You're going to see Stanley Amude, Jalen Williams match up. How do you defend this guy, man?
Well, Muss really hasn't given us any clues. I suspect that there's going to be a lot of double teaming, which means that, a 7-foot guy being guarded by 6'6", 6'7" guys, he's going to have the opportunity to pass over him. I mean, there's no question about that. You got to make him put the ball on the floor. I thought when Auburn got put out the other night, they made Walker Kessler run all over the floor. They made him get out and defend, and guys drove around him, and they took his height and his ability to play in the low block, and they turned it against him by making him play defense out on the floor. And, yeah, he's going to score. I mean, golly, you look at their team. I mean, you can play a great defensive ball game. They're still going to score, and he's certainly one of those kind of players. I think you got to make him a liability in other areas. If you double team, you better double hard, make him put that ball on the floor. You better be slapping and swatting and, trying to disrupt his game. Hey, that's from a radio play-by-play guy's perspective. I'm sure their plan from coaching is, from a coach's perspective, is a lot more detailed than that. I hope it is. But I just think you've got to make him do things he's not comfortable doing. And you sure have to make him chase you defensively because this guy's a shot-blocking machine.
Yeah.
Chuck, go ahead, Tommy.
Chuck, you've you've got to see the SEC up close all year long and see the Auburns and the Kentuckys and the Tennessees from the front row. The performance of the conference this year in the tournament, has it changed your opinion of the quality of the league this year? What have we seen this last 10 days or so that what should we think of SEC basketball after Arkansas is now the last team standing again this year in the NCAA tournament?
Well, I know people put a lot of stock in what happens in the tournament, and here's the thing. I mean, when you get to this selection committee, it's not their job to try to predict what's going to happen. It's you put people in the spot based on what they've done in the regular season, and that's really all you can do. And draw does have a lot to do with it when you get to the NCAA tournament. I think you've got 3 seasons. I think you've got the non-conference season, you got the conference season, and then you got the tournaments. And, as we saw, what happens in conference may be a whole lot different than what happens in non-conference. We got better. Some teams get worse. I think the league was really good this year. I thought the competition was great. I think it's entertaining. I think fans like it. There have been years when the ACC was great and they got to the tournament and they stumbled. There's been years when other leagues had the same thing happen. And, I've always been one who thought the ACC was written off way too early this year in basketball. They're still the standard, whether we want to admit it or not, when it comes to basketball. The Big Ten probably is learning a little bit about that too, but no, it doesn't change my opinion about our league at all. It's not been that long ago when we wondered if we were going to get 3 or 4 teams in. And you could make a case the 4th team didn't belong, and we weren't in that group. So basketball has gotten a lot better in our league, and I don't think what's happened in this tournament takes away from anything that happened in the regular season.
Chuck, before we let you go, I want to harken back to the sports wrap days. Let's say you're still doing your radio show. You open up your primetime hour. What are you saying to listeners prior to taking on the number 1 team in the country tonight? Go back to your old radio days and give us a glimpse on that.
Oh, I think tonight the story in Arkansas is what people are doing to prepare for the game. This is the conversation piece in our state right now. I know what it's like. I know what it's going to be like all day long at every workplace in Arkansas. And, you just come on, you try to share that with them. You try to be part of it. Hey, I grew up there.
Yeah.
I remember the night I watched a Razorback basketball game for the very first time. I can remember growing up when nobody even knew we had a basketball team. I remember those days. And so I know what it means to the people of our state. You try to share that emotion with them. You find a way to do that. And, I can remember in the mid-90s saying on my show that this is not going to last forever. In many respects, these are the days of wine and roses for basketball, and you better enjoy it because there's going to be a time when it's not here. I still feel that way. It's taken a long time to get back to this point, but I hope people enjoy this. I don't think it's over. In fact, I think the best is yet to come. But it's fun when it's happening, and it's great to be a Razorback fan right now.
Chuck, great job. Appreciate your time early this morning on the West Coast, and we'll hear from you and Z at 5:30 tonight on all these stations that you're listening to right now.
All right, guys. Go Hogs.
All right, Chuck Barrett, voice of the Razorbacks, live from San Francisco this morning.
That time of year, college basketball takes center stage with the tournament finally upon us. If you're looking to wager this year, BetOnline is the #1 spot for all your updated odds and info, along with great contests, including the bracket contest, where you can have a chance to take home the top prize. Head over to the website or use your mobile device to sign up today and receive your 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. Just use our promo code BELIEVE to get started. That's BLEAV. BetOnline is your continued source for all your sports wagering needs, including live betting and your favorite Vegas casino games. BetOnline, where the game starts.